Okay, that's looking good. All right, well, I'm going to go and check that the stream is working okay, Morley. Whilst I do that, would you mind welcoming the folks for us, please?
And we're back for another fireside chat between Shanae and Morley, talking about all things RCP, from books to handbooks to classes to community meetings to whatever. And tonight, I think what we're going to try to do, if there's enough interest, we'd love to do like a Q&A session. If anyone's out there got any questions, I love questions. I love responding to questions. So if that's possible, we're going to do that. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. Excellent. I give you 10 points, Morley, if you can guess who is here live, who is perpetually here live with us from Australia. Not me, not Christiane, but...
Not Christiane.
No. Well, she is here, but other than myself, other than Christiane in Australia, who is one of the gentlemen who is often here live with us?
Oh, this would be Sir Frank.
Sir Frank. Franklin here.
The mineral curmudgeon from Perth, right?
The one and only Frank, the one and only, yeah.
Good morning, Frank. It's always nice to have you with us. It's great. God bless you.
Yeah, we've also got a few other folks. Christiane is, of course, here. Dee Dee is here.
Oh boy, exciting. I want a zinger question from Frank. That's what I want.
Want a zinger question from Frank. All right. The salt merchant of Lake Deborah. Excellent.
I think it's the mineral curmudgeon.
We've got Christina. If you are here live, please do say hello with us, folks, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is for you. We are back again. What I thought we might do is do a little quick update for everybody with the goings on, because we're hot on the heels of December now, which boggles a little my mind. I don't know about you, Morley.
Oh my God. I'm so ready for this year to be over, but it's amazing that we're in December. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And I know that here in Australia, you've got the big break in the United States in the middle of the year. Our big break is over the Christmas period. So there's a lot of folks here who I think are ready for the year to kind of come to that close and to take stock and to put our feet up and to recharge our batteries for the next year. Because of course, with all of the things that are going on, no one really knows what next year has in store for us.
Is there anything going on? What are you talking about? I can't imagine.
Nothing at all.
Oh my God. Yeah. And we chose to be here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Needed this experience, right?
Indeed. Well, what we'll do is we'll give everybody a bit of an update, and then we've actually already got a question sitting here ready to go. So I'll share that one with you in just a moment, Morley. But let's tell everybody what is important, what they need to know, what the rest of the year looks like for the RCP, what the new year looks like, and all of that sort of stuff. So,
well, the rest of the year is pretty quiet. We just have a couple meetings that I know of. There's a Q&A, I think it's tomorrow. And
who's the Q&A for, Morley? Again, for those folks who are very new to the RCP world, what is a Q&A? How do people access it? Who is it available to?
There's folks who want to be part of what's called the RCP community. They pay like $10 a month, and every other week or well, I guess it's like 2 times a month, we have a Q&A. We have webinars for the public in general, and then invariably there are questions that come from those webinars. And so the people who are part of the paid community get to participate in that dialogue. And so I think tomorrow is actually our last Q&A for the year, because the good ship RCP is going to go into mothballs in the middle of, actually, I think it's starting like the 7th of December. We're sliding into Slumberland, and we're all very, very much looking forward to that. And whether you're on down under or top side up, whatever, everybody's ready for the year to be over. But we'll wind down the year, and then we've got the new training starting the first Thursday in February. I hope I have that right. First Thursday, it might be the second Thursday, but it'll be early February of 2022. And it'll go on for 16 weeks thereafter. We've already got 50 some people signed up. We're just so blessed to have the interest that people have in this training. So we're probably going to break through over 100. Maybe it might be as many as 150 people in this next class, which is just a wonderful expression of support for the training. And Christiane and I are very much looking forward to that. We're in the process of updating some of the material. And so yours truly, this old doc without a cone on his head, is having to learn some new tricks to make sure I can get the presentations done right and recorded properly. But given what I've figured out so far, I think I can get the Zoom thing to work. But I think it's actually easier to understand iron metabolism than it is to understand how to record a PowerPoint on Zoom, believe it or not. So that's just my quirky mind at work. But I think it's going to be a really exciting new year. And one of the other things we'll be doing in the new year is doing an audio version of the book. Very excited about that. And we're just going to, the first half of the year is going to be really helping to raise this little creature called Cure Your Fatigue. The expression is writing the book is like giving birth to a baby, but then you got to raise it. And so we're going to spend a lot of time trying to raise this book so that more people are aware of it, and that we can it's kind of a fun calling card. I'm having a lot of success with it, and looking forward to its gradual rise. Who knows? It might get to the top of Amazon. You never know. But it's got some stiff competition. But I think folks are really enjoying the writing style. I give Larry Trivieri the credit for that, the guest writer. And he took my prose and turned it into a really, I think, thoughtfully written and well, easy to read book. So I'm looking forward to more people being aware of that.
Yeah. And you are right, Morley. I've just checked my notes. The classes begin for the RCP Institute on the 11th, the 10th/11th, 10th for you in Feb and the 11th for us. Obviously, we're in the future over on the other side of the world. And so the doors for that training, the cart will actually close at the end of January. And what that does is that gives us behind the scenes, because there's quite a number of moving parts to get this ship steered in the right direction. And that period of a couple of weeks just gives us enough time to get things ready, to get things set up, to do what it is that we need to do, to also give you enough time to access the material that's there. You, not you, Morley, you, the students, to access the material that is there and provided before the classes begin, so that everybody is starting at that same benchmark. We're off the same song sheet, if you will.
In the early days, we actually had people joining like the second and third week, and it's not practical to do that now. We've got too much momentum, and it's a much more structured format. So I think it makes a lot more sense to have that.
Yeah, we don't want folks starting on the back foot. We want to, set them up for the best possible outcome and for success. So so that if you are thinking about joining the training, but perhaps you're looking to sign up maybe next month, maybe in January, please do know that the cart will actually close, and and it's a very hard close. We won't take any enrollments after the end of January. Yep. I've got the 28th noted. I can't remember if it's the 28th my time or the 28th your time, but the end of January is when we will close that off, just for the folks who are making a mental note of that. And we are back on deck a little earlier than that, because we are running a webinar on the 11th, 12th of January as well. What will you be talking about? Now, we're going to flesh out some details and make this publicly available soon. But what's the broad topic, Morley?
I don't remember. Sorry. I mean, it's just too much water over the dam. I'm sure Christiane might know, but
it's vitamin D, I believe.
Oh no! Come on. That's what I thought it was, and I was like, maybe it won't be vitamin D. That would be my wish, but in any event, yeah, if it's vitamin D, we'll talk more about vitamin D. I'm learning some very cool things about sunlight that puts vitamin D to shame. That people have been so conditioned and programmed to think that sun produces vitamin D. And it's like, there's so much more to it than that. So I'm going to introduce that and kind of take it uptown a little bit. So looking forward to that.
Very good. All right. So we've got a really beautiful turnout live here today. Thank you everybody for being here. If you are here live, please do say hello. Let us know that you are here. Frank said that he's loving the book, but we've got a question from Victoria Morley. Shall we get stuck into the questions?
Sure. Thank you, Frank, for your kind words. So yeah, let's go with Victoria.
All right. So Victoria has said, hi, Morley. I just started the RCP and I'm exhausted. Can you explain why this may be happening?
Probably maybe for two reasons. One, you probably been through a lot of stress and your adrenals have taken a toll. And so when we're under a lot of stress, we lose minerals. I call it the magnesium burn rate. And it's when we're in a recovery phase, we flip on the parasympathetic mode of our nervous system. Well, the other phrase for parasympathetic is rest and recovery. And so the body is taking advantage of that rest to allow the tissues to rebuild and recover. The other is the ratio that runs the mineral ratio that runs the adrenals is sodium divided by magnesium. And the mistake that a lot of us make, me included in the beginning, was we know that magnesium is really good for us. So we start to bulk up on magnesium. And so if we're not mindful of the need for sodium, the magnesium can outstrip the sodium, and then the ratio starts to go the wrong way. And when that ratio starts to get inverted, as it often does, then fatigue sets in. So we just have to ease up on the magnesium, be more focused on the adrenal cocktails. And the magic of the adrenal cocktail is that it's introducing minerals in general, but sodium and potassium that are really helpful to perk up the adrenals. And then we introduce just a little bit of magnesium and begin to restore the mineral ratios that are needed to run the adrenal function and the rest of the tissue. So those are the two likely reasons, probably more so the latter. But if you're not totally tweaked out with stress, it could very well be that your body's just trying to take advantage of that recovery mode, and it needs to be quiet in order to do that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Morley. Thank you for asking that question as well, Victoria. We've got a few more. Are you happy to continue, Morley?
Sure, absolutely.
So I haven't pre-read these, so just bear with me whilst I find it. So Lita has said, do you have any insight into the brain fog that accompanies COVID illness and afterward? Fog, not frog.
Could be both, right? So the little known truth of COVID is what it really stands for, at least in my opinion. COV stands for copper's vanished. So the CO is for copper, V for vanished. And the ID is that iron's dysregulated. So what most people don't know is that copper, in the world of homeopathy, copper's called the general and iron's called the foot soldier. So it turns out that copper regulates iron. And what folks don't know about COVID is that it has a tendency to lower our copper status, especially people who are doing what's called the COVID cocktail, ascorbic acid, vitamin D, and zinc. Those three nutrients are a perfect way to destroy the bioavailability of copper. And furthermore, what most people don't know is that copper is what runs the immune system. You haven't heard that. Nobody talks about it. But I've got 52 articles. I stopped at 52. I could have gone to 100, I'm sure. But 52 articles that clearly delineate the essential primary role of copper to run the immune system. I've got an article from 2008 that, that clearly was studying the use of copper to stop SARS-CoV-2. They knew exactly how to stop this. They just don't want us to know. So the whole problem with this condition is it's zapping the copper status, iron goes rogue, ferritin explodes, red cell distribution doesn't come down the way it's supposed to properly. Transferrin starts to get affected. All these blood markers that the people aren't even aware of are being altered by the dysregulation of iron. Well, where does the ammonia come in? Well, in the natural process of things, ammonia gets produced in the mitochondria, and it needs to be cleared, principally in the liver. That's really where the ammonia gets cleared. And there are 5 enzymes involved in that process. Well, the very first enzyme requires copper. So if you don't got copper in your body, or you've been hosed because of this condition, then ammonia starts to build up in the liver, but it's going to find its way to your thought process. And that's really where the breakdown is. People think of their mitochondria as, well, that's where I make energy. It's like, it's 1,000 times more complicated than that, but it's involved in many, many metabolic functions, one of which is to clear ammonia. Another, we got to recycle iron, we've got to regulate calcium, we've got to make amino acids. It just goes on and on. All these things that we just take for granted, we don't even think about it, are being done by this energy grid, this power grid that runs our body, but especially our liver. The liver, truth be known, it's basically like a battery in a car. The liver is this very significant organ of fat, where energy gets stored in fat, and it's supposed to be this repository for energy, and it's supposed to be where we store copper and retinol. But in a vitamin D crazed world, not so much. Things start to change, but I think the whole dynamic of the brain fog, it's a manifestation of the copper iron dysregulation, and it would be helpful to see mineral status through hair tests and blood tests. There's a number of things that could be done, but certainly the foundation is going to be the protocol, and there may be some other bells and whistles to help deal with the discomfort of that brain fog.
Thank you so much, Morley, and thank you, Lita, for asking that question. All right, now you did ask Frank for a good one. He has, I believe, perhaps delivered. Are you ready, Morley?
Oh boy, let me get my seatbelt on. Okay.
All right, so Frank's question says, insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes has a MAG deficiency association. How does this fit into the bigger scheme of things?
That's a great question. So there's an enzyme called tyrosine kinase. And kinase enzymes are basically stress enzymes. So when I talk about the magnesium burn rate, what I'm talking about is kinase enzymes fritzing out and releasing magnesium. And what trips the wire of these kinase enzymes is oxidative stress. So with insulin resistance, what's happening is there's a rising level of oxidative stress, which is tripping the tyrosine kinase wire. Magnesium is getting lost, and then the insulin can't get in. That tyrosine kinase needs to allow it into the cell. So let's back up a step or two. We've been trained in the modern era to think that the only way we can get sugar inside the cell is with insulin. No, it's not. That's not how it works. Back in the 30s and 40s, they were studying how copper was critical for glucose entry into the cell. It's a big deal. And of course, that all got swept under the rug after the war, because we've got to create disease. And what's the mouse model for type 2 diabetes is to give an iron infusion to a mouse. They get diabetes. What's the mouse model? Excuse me, to stop diabetes? Do iron chelation. Oh, well, maybe this iron thing is the problem. And in fact, it is. All the glycation that takes place, I'm sure people who have diabetes are very aware, not just of their blood sugar, but their hemoglobin A1C. It's a particular protein on the hemoglobin, and they know what their number is. Well, that number represents what percent of the red blood cells are glycated. Why are they getting glycated? Because they're getting oxidized by the iron that's causing sugars to attach to the hemoglobin, and then they don't work as well. So the issue of diabetes, it's very easy to focus on the magnesium loss, but what you've got to do is swim upstream to see what's causing the oxidative stress. And why is the iron rising in the body? Well, the copper is not doing its job because maybe there's not enough copper. Maybe it's being overwhelmed by the iron. But the tyrosine kinase enzyme, very important player to make sure that there's a steady flow of glucose. The other thing that people have to keep in mind is that we're trained to believe that the mitochondria only work on glucose. They don't. They actually prefer fat. So that when we're burning glucose, we're getting the equivalent of 32 miles to the gallon. It's pretty good. It's not bad. But when you're burning fat, it's 140 miles per gallon. So it's a very different design. The mitochondria are really designed to burn fat. It's only been in the post Second World War era where there's been this obsession with sugars, and I think we're being drowned by dietary sugars, and that's adding to the stress of the cells to do their work, especially the mitochondria of those cells.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was a robust enough answer for the salt merchant of Perth.
Thank you, Morley, and thank you, Frank, for asking that question and allowing Morley to share that.
Question.
Yeah. So I think it's pertinent for us to mention if folks have questions for you, because I'm noticing that perhaps there's going to be more questions today than we can get to. As soon as we open it up for questions and we have Morley here with us, they come in thick and fast. If you have questions that you would like to have answered by Morley, then the best place to get that answered and have that attention, because obviously we have a very short window in our lives that we do each week here, is to come and join the Q&A. Would that be fair to say, Morley?
Yeah, no, it would be a very appropriate forum. There are a surprising number of people who've taken the training just so they can listen to 16 weeks of dialogue and the questions do get answered in those classes. I mean, when it happened the first time, I was a little surprised, but someone said, look, I'm willing to pay that kind of money so I can listen to this kind of dialogue and really get a different level of understanding about what's going on. So that's always the ultimate. I think but the best form, the most logical place are those RCP community meetings. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the training is the big 14 live classes over 16-week event that kicks off next year. But in the meantime, there is the forum, the community forum, which is less than 10 USD a month. It's a very, very affordable investment to get, I would say, the wealth of knowledge and access, because it's not just the live Q&As that they can attend. They've got access upon jumping into the forum. There's all of the pre-recorded materials of past Q&As that are there and available. You could spend, I would say, perhaps days, weeks even, catching up on all of those and soaking up all of that wisdom and all of the questions that have been answered.
There really are three venues. There's a small, medium, and large. Small would be the community, very modest investment, $10 a month.
Yeah.
Large is the class. The medium is people would do a consult. I've had many, many people sign up for a consult just so they can have the chance to have a really engaging conversation and clarify their understanding about what's going on. So those would be the three. The only disadvantage of the consult is it's not going to be shared outside of the conversation that we would have. So.
Yeah. And folks can book a consult with you, Morley, but they can also book with any of the RCPCs.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We've got, scores of consultants out there all over the country and all over the world, able to very comfortably not just field the questions, but guide you through the process of the RCP.
Yeah, absolutely. And Christine's been very kind to pop in the link to join the forum. It's called the community and it's called the forum. Those terms are used quite interchangeably, but if that interests you, then that link is there. Thank you, Christine. All right, so what I'm going to do is, all right, do you want to have a go at one more question, Morley? You've got 5 minutes. Are you comfortable if I hit you with one more before we go?
Depends on what the question is.
Here's the thing, right? I don't know the answers, so I don't know if I can and offer you the next question. Perhaps it's a 5-minute answer. Perhaps it's a 100-minute answer.
I don't think just ask me yes or no questions. That would make it so much easier, right?
Yeah, I don't know that you would get very many of those.
Yeah. Do I love what I do? Yes, I do. I do
Yes,
love what I do.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Okay, all right. So the next one and the last one. So if you have asked a question and we haven't gotten around to answering, please do consider coming and getting your questions answered in one of the ways that we've just explained. We will be back again next week. So if you are an eager beaver, you can come back. And if we're taking questions, then we might have another shot at that. So Kathy has asked the last one, and Kathy has said, 59 years old and had a hysterectomy in 2010, ordered 3% progesterone from Owners, ONA''S. Just wondering your thoughts.
So what we really need to do is we need to understand what was behind the need for the hysterectomy. And so in generic terms, there was copper iron dysregulation. A lot of women struggle with this. And what happens is the master antioxidant for our body is a copper protein called ceruloplasmin. Now, you may have heard that term if you've been on the MAG group for a while, but you never heard it from your OBGYN. You probably never heard it in your lifetime. And that protein can express 24 different antioxidant enzyme functions. It's a big deal. The fact that it's not taught to doctors should make you scratch your head in wonderment, but we can speculate why. But the thing is, in bodies that have low ceruloplasmin and therefore low ferroxidase enzyme function, the body needs to go to plan B. There's always a plan B in the body. And so there's oxidative stress in our body that needs to be neutralized. And the plan B is estrogen. When you get into the real nitty-gritty of estrogen research, what you're going to discover is that estrogen is an antioxidant. All the hormones are. Every chemical in our body is responding to the state of oxygen in our body. It's fascinating. And there are all sorts of oxygen sensors and antioxidants and things. It's fascinating. It's a lot simpler than you think it is, but no one's ever put it into that context. And so if estrogen, if ceruloplasmin was low, as I would suspect it was, that means your copper status was low. Well, if copper status is low, that means your iron was high. And so then the body was using that estrogen to try to neutralize the iron-induced oxidative stress. Now here's where it gets fascinating. You can't make progesterone, you can't secrete progesterone if you don't have bioavailable copper. And the Onus cream is a wonderful product. Kitty Martone is now, I think, shepherding that company. And I teased her the other day that she should change her last name to Kitty Martones. She thought that was very clever. And what you might want to do is look for the series of conversations that Kitty Martone, I think it's under the banner, Stuff Your Doctor Should Know. That's her podcast. And she and I have had 5 or 6 conversations. And the last 2 or 3 would be the ones you'd want to listen to. The last one was epic. I'll just leave it at that. That's not pride of authorship. Kitty was just like, this makes so much sense. She was really excited to be able to share that with her community. So what's also in play is that when you ended your when you had surgical menopause, iron was building up in your body, and you're designed to donate iron on a monthly basis. No one's ever told you or put it in that context. Women are designed to donate blood, but especially donate iron. And so that iron was building in your body for about 10 years. And it created a very significant amount of oxidative stress, and it overwhelmed your copper metabolism. And that's really why the progesterone cream is coming to your aid. And many people have found that once they get their minerals corrected, then the hormones begin to flow very differently. So that's what I would offer up as a perspective and a context for what's going on in your body. But be sure to track down Kitty Martone's. She has an estrogen dominance Facebook group, but she also has that podcast, Stuff Your Doctor Should Know.
She should be donating blood, right?
Yeah, for sure. My wife is just chiming in that you should be making sure you're donating blood on a quarterly basis going forward. That's going to help you immensely to lower your iron footprint. And then you should be doing the protocol to really raise your copper footprint. That's going to be very, very important going forward.
Thank you, Dr. Liz, for adding that.
Yeah. She's never too far from the action. It's very exciting.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy, for asking that question. And I do want to acknowledge that there are a number of questions that for timing, we spend half an hour live with you guys every week that we just simply cannot get to. So do come back. We'll be back again next week. Do come back, and you're welcome to. I know that Christiane and the other RCPCs who are here are actually going through and answering questions as best they can as well to support the sheer volume of them. But if that hasn't happened,
questions. I can't believe there are questions out there. My goodness, people need to buy the book. Get many of their questions answered. But it's always fun to have these impromptu exchanges, because that's where the action is, and that's where the rubber really hits the road to get the responses to those niggly concerns that people have.
Yeah, and I've put the link to purchase the book in the description of this video, so you can access that. We've got hard copies available. If you're in the US, you can get a signed copy. Please be patient with us if you're outside the US and you'd like that. We've got ebooks available now, so there's a bunch of retailers on that site, so you can choose your preferred retailer to get a copy of the book. But that is absolutely the way to go, and Frank is once again chiming in and saying that the book is great.
Well, and what people need to understand is the book makes a great stocking stuffer. It's amazing. You just fold it a little bit and go right in the stocking, and people are going to love that, along with the oranges or coal or whatever you put in your stockings. So.
Yeah, and also, with the Secret Santa and the budget limits that often happen with things like that, the book fits in perfectly to that sort of budget that is often the case with Secret Santas in workplaces and families, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, exactly. Really great. Well, that brings us to the end of our time together, Morley. Thank you so much for spending some time with us on your evening, our morning here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for taking the time. Hope Pooch is feeling better.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll pick it up again next week.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will let you enjoy your evening. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Liz. We will see you again very soon, Morley.
That's great. Thanks so much. Thanks for all the great questions, folks. We'll catch up with you next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you.